Model Railroad Talk fans, it's time for episode 96. In this episode, we talk about, we give you, I guess, our perspective on the Lincoln Area Railway Historical Society's 2025 train show they had there. We talk about that. We talk about some updates to the railroad. We talk about updates on our website, basically all the stuff going on with Model Railroad Talk and you, our listeners. So, as always, guess what? Stick around because we're going to get this show on the tracks. Welcome, everybody, to episode 96. We have a lot to talk about, actually, and starting out, we're going to talk about the train show that I was at here on February 15th and 16th in Lincoln, Nebraska. But first, I want to say thank you to all those that have reached out. The response has been excellent. I really appreciate everybody reaching out and the communications between not only asking questions, but even just the positive comments and the constructive criticism and all that stuff. I really appreciate it. I take it to heart, and I just think I can't say thank you enough. And so moving on, over February 15th and 16th, I was at the Lincoln Area Railway Historical Society 2025 train show. I was asked to go over there with our good friend Eric. He's been on this show a long time ago. I'm trying to get him back on here, but anyways, he asked me to come over because he has his project, his 1-inch scale GP60M that he's working on, and I've been helping him a lot with it. Not only ideas on how to do some things, but also I've 3D printed a lot of detail parts for him and figured out the headlights and ditch lights, stuff like that, right? So he asked me to be there. So if anybody happened to ask about 3D printing and that kind of thing, and I'm like, sure, why not? Let's go over there. And he said, bring the podcast stuff. So I did. I took some stickers and some cards and stuff, and it was fun. It was definitely fun to be on that side of things. And it's actually got me thinking maybe potentially in the future to start doing at least more local train shows to see how it goes, just to show up, for the podcast and talk with people and promote the hobby. Because that's kind of where this has gone. I finally figured out exactly what I want Model Railroad Talk to be about, and that's to teach, promote, and inspire model railroaders, and through this time that I'm glad it's had me. I'm excited that I've been able to finally clarify what I wanted Model Railroad Talk Productions to be about. But anyways, but the show was great. Although the first day on Saturday, they had some snow and crappy weather, and unfortunately that did slow down I should say, morning attendance, but all that had pretty well lifted by the afternoon, and the afternoon picked up. And of course, Sunday, it was a very nice day, and it slow start, church day, but after that it picked up. It was busy the rest of the time, but I got to hang out, like I said, with Eric. If you're interested in his GP60M 1-inch scale, that is, project, head on over to YouTube and look up Warbonds, Warbonds. That's his channel, and he's got, not only does he have, in a sense, a series on building this 1-inch scale GP60M, but he's got some other great railroad videos over there. So from back in the day when he first got into being actual locomotive engineer and stuff like that. So check him out over there on YouTube. And while you're on YouTube, check out our channel, Model Railroad Talk, and give us a subscribe over there too. So I know a sad shameless post there, but hey, it works. So he is part of it's the Chippewa Northwestern Railway Society, and they are basically it's a 1-inch scale club. So they have the ride-ons, and they have uh Sundays, or so between June and October, second and fourth Sundays, they have public rides from 1:30 to 4 p.m. They have a full schedule. Actually, if you want to check them out, check out their website, www.the-chippewa.org, Chippewa, Chippewa.org. And they're actually in Goner, Goehner, Nebraska. But check them out. A great bunch of people over there, all very, very nice and willing to give. If you have questions, are willing to give, their knowledge, and just very, very, very nice, beautiful people that are in that club that I got to meet, at least. And it's not just for elder people. There's several teenagers and younger people in that too. So if you're in that area or going to be in that area between June and October, look them up, reach out to them, and go check out some of the stuff they have there. I got to see a live steam, not running because he had it on a stand, obviously, but and you don't really want to run a live steam inside, but a live steam shay. And we have that on our YouTube channel. It is a short video, in our shorter video of the train show, I do show that in there. And it's really cool it was really neat to see close up. And even though I'm not steam era, and I shouldn't say I've never been a fan. That's a wrong term, but I've never really been into, let's put it that way, the smaller Shay locomotives and stuff. But this gentleman, his Shay locomotive is amazing. All the working parts, and it's actual live steam. He feeds coal into it, and he has to put water. He's got a water tank, and um, just being up close and actually without it running, you can smell the coal and the oil and the grease and all that, and it's just really, really cool. But so check them out. And actually, I know for a fact one of them, Steve, he is a master model railroader, and after um, Saturday show, they invited us over to Steve and his wife invited us over to their house for pizza, and went down and got to see Steve's N scale layout. And that is just, it's amazing what he's done in, I think he said it's roughly about 8 years. It's a double helix, N scale double deck railroad, and it is just, it's an amazing, the detail that's on this. So, but anyways, the show went really well. They had several clinics, and actually finally got to meet up with Alan Zimmerman. He was, if you remember him, he was on several episodes ago from Alan's N Scale World. He was there. He had a table, or actually a couple tables set up, booth, whatever you want to call it, and got to talk with him quite a bit. And he actually taught did 3 clinics on weathering rail cars and stuff. And there again, if you go over to our YouTube channel, I have a short video up kind of showing that. And it's really neat to see the process. I learned from it. I actually learned of a product that he uses and ended up buying a couple bottles of that while I was at the show. And I'll talk about that at another time. But because I'm going to have him back on at some point doing, talking about weathering and stuff like that. So, but anyways, yeah, I got to hang out with him, and actually took over. He asked if I'd bring over some HO scale rail cars for him to weather, and take his hand, because he does mostly N scale, but he wanted to work on HO scale, and he has sent me some pictures. Actually, I bought some other rail cars, and he took a couple of those to finish up the weathering, because he used them for the clinic. But um, the pictures he has sent me, I am very, very excited to get those on my railroad, because it's a phenomenal job that he's doing. So But if you're interested in him, check him out. He's on Facebook at Allen's N Scale World, and he's also on Instagram. But um, if you want to reach out to him, you can email him allensnscaleworld@gmail.com. That's Allen's N, like N for N scale, nscaleworld@gmail.com. Doing great things. Of course, if you you can go to our website. That's something we'll talk about here in a minute. On the homepage, uh, we have a link to his Facebook page there. Not only a link to his Facebook page, but other things. So, but anyways, the train show was great. It closed out at 4 p.m. on Sunday. And then, as much as I enjoyed helping Eric get all set up, his 1-inch scale locomotive, to put it in perspective, it weighs about 300 pounds with all set up. Well, we have to break it down a little bit in order for him and I to be able to load it into the back of his SUV and everything. So it takes about a good 15-20 minutes to break it down and load it into the SUV. So that was one little thing I didn't look forward to that, and loading it up on Saturday morning. But it's definitely fun. It was a fun time, and I'm really thinking about going back to it again this next year. So if you are in that area and you're listening, first of all, I appreciate if you are a new listener and I talk to you at the show. Reach out, send me an email, modelrailroadtalk@gmail.com, and say hi. Say, hey, I talked to you at the show, whatever. I always like hearing from people. But moving on, I guess a little housekeeping. I have decided to keep the website. However, I have made some changes on it. There are no longer groups or forums. It's basically more of an information kind of site. The homepage, obviously, Broadway Limited Imports being a supporter of this podcast. Obviously, we want to help them. So you go to the homepage, you'll see a link to get to their website. You'll see a link to get to Allen's N Scale World. On the homepage on the right, you'll see a link to our Facebook page. If you're on Spotify, it's a work in progress, but the website, but you can go to link there if you want to listen to the podcast on Spotify. I'll take you directly to our podcast. And then there's also our good friend Benjamin Z. He's been on here, and he's going to be back on here very soon, talking about his N scale Baxter Springs, or I should say Case N scale KCS Baxter Springs dash Lost Lawton, probably saying that wrong. Anyways, branch that he has redone and redoing and doing excellent there. So there's a link to his Facebook page, but there's also a link to Eric's Warbonds channel on that page as well. There's another page on there that shows our premium supporters, just giving a thanks to them. And then another page of showing, and it's in progress, but showing not only my Kansas City Southern Iowa Eastern Division Railroad, but Benjamin's as well, since he's a big help. Benjamin's been a big help with this podcast behind the scenes, like ideas and stuff like that. So I wanted to help showcase his as well. So if that's something that you are interested in, send me an email. I would be and if you have something special, I guess is what I'm like Benjamin, the KCS portion that he is modeling is a very rarely modeled, I guess, branch line, if you will. And so I find it interesting. So I want to get it posted on there. So if you feel you have an interesting interesting layout of any sorts, doesn't matter scale, doesn't matter locale, if it's interesting, something different, something obscure, whatever, reach out to me, modelrailroadtalk@gmail.com, and we can talk about it, and you could potentially have your railroad showcased on our website. So moving forward from that, Um, yeah, not a lot has really over the past several weeks has happened on the Kansas City Southern, Iowa Eastern Division. Just because I was getting ready for the show, helping Eric get ready for the show and just getting prepped. And then I got back, and this last week has been kind of getting caught up at work because I took a day and a half off of work for it as well. And um, just, I guess, getting my bearings back in order from being away from home for, 3.5 days almost. So, um, and also not really being focused on my railroad for the past few weeks before the show. But now that I'm back, I had some issues with my lift gate and swing gate, but I've done taking care of them. So I'm actually putting my guardrails back in. If you are interested in that, go to our YouTube channel. And I did a video. I know it's not the best video as far as angles and stuff, but unfortunately, I was limited on um, angles at that time. I do have a new gimbal deal for my phone, so I can record better. But if you're interested in the guardrails, check that out. So yeah, moving on. So enough about that kind of stuff. I was gonna move on to talking about like narrow gauge and stuff like that, but I think I'm gonna hold off on that. And actually, I'm going to reach out to. We had a listener that had sent us a message a long time ago, and have him see if he's willing, I guess, to come on to the show and talk about that. But I know that's something that I seen, I more or less heard people bring up because I was walking around the tables at the train show, and there were, while mostly, yes, it was N scale, O scale, HO scale. There were a few people that had some narrow gauge stuff, and people would walk by and make comments and stuff. So I thought that'd make a good episode. However, I am not that adverse in narrow gauge. I know what, excuse me, know what it is, and I know, I guess, I know about it, but I don't know a lot about it. So I'm gonna ask if you know about it. Email us modelrailroadtalk@gmail.com, and if you're willing to come on to this show, let's get something set up for our other listeners, and you can talk about that. We did receive an email from another listener. He is actually in Z scale, which is smaller than N. And I'm going to reach back out to him and see about having him on the show as a guest to talk about that. While, yes, it doesn't matter, I should say, no, it doesn't matter what scale you are in, it's trains running on rails. But let's face it, N, HO, and O are the most common scales modeled right now. And while yes, G scale is, um, but it's not as talked about. But same with Z scale, and I'm saying Z as in zebra scale. Um, it is a lot smaller than N scale, and I've always wanted to get a Z scale, just the simple um, I guess, setup, something that I can take and show the different, if I start doing shows, I guess. But I would love to have a table to where I could have like a G scale locomotive, and have all the different sizes, to be able to show people the difference, especially those that are new to the hobby or thinking about coming into the hobby, that would allow them, a little more, uh, insight to actually what the sizes are. I think a lot of people don't realize the difference in the scales. Yeah, they hear about them. You can see the ratios. 1/160th or 1/187th or one what is it 1/60th or 1/64th, whatever. 129. And there's different ones in there, and it's. But I think it'd be cool to be able to have, I guess, a rail car or something of each scale, preferably try to get the same one, you know, that people can look at and see. I know I've seen it a long time ago. I remember in Model Railroader magazine, and I think I've seen it online as well, a picture where it shows the different scales. But let's face it, a picture doesn't do it justice. Just like when the first time I saw Eric's 1-inch scale GP60M, I could imagine what it was like, but until you actually see the actual size, it's very interesting. So, um, moving on, I like I stated, I'm excited to get my rail cars back from Alan Zimmerman because I think that I want to start. I want to start weathering my cars right now, but on the flip side, I want to wait until I get farther on the railroad, where I'm actually at the scenery point, and I'm getting really close to being able to do that. I unfortunately was well, I fortunately yesterday had our good friend from the NMRA division, Chris, come over, and I was going to have him run trains. Well, earlier in the week, I had my lift gate and my swing gate decide to, I don't know what happened, but basically the rails, it was a bad thing. Let's just put it that way. The rails weren't lined up and they were starting to lift and this and that. So I ended up sitting down and coming up with a plan, took into work. I bought some PC board, where it's just copper on one side and then your whatever that stuff's made out of, fiberglass or whatever. And I took some into work, cut it up into strips to make my own PC board ties, but I made them bigger just because I'm like, I would rather have function over I guess visual. I'd rather it hold the track in place. So I finally last night got all that down and set up, ran several trains. It's running much better, got everything leveled. And that's the other thing, like where the two either whether it be the lift gate or the swing gate, where the two rails were meeting up. One was starting to drop down a little bit. I don't know if was like that, but either way, right now I know I got them shimmed and everything. I'm going back putting guardrails back in those places just for the I guess this little bit of a added security it does when it's going over those small gaps, um, but yeah, it's having a railroad definitely, while it's fun, it has its complications and frustrations, but in the end, it's when you get through those frustrations, guess what? It is so totally worth it. Um, I mean, it's weird. I look back on the last couple years since got back into the hobby, and how it's like I think about trains all the time. I mean, obviously when I'm at work, I'm thinking about work stuff, but when I'm on lunch, I'm jumping on YouTube and watching real railroad videos of like the KCS so I can, get a good in my mind of the locomotives and cars and stuff. So when I come back to start modeling them and stuff, it's kind of imprinted in my head, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, some people, I got one guy I work with, he, uh, he gives me, grief all the time, in a fun way and non-harmful way and non-judgmental way, but he gives me grief all the time about, "Don't you ever do anything other than think about trains?" And I'm like, "Well, when I'm at work, I think about work, but when I get out of work, I think about trains." And then when the girlfriend, has things she wants to get done around the house or something, okay, I think about those. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm doing this, once we get this done, I'm going down and working on my trains. So, but what's the harm? It's, I don't, it's money that is spent that, I'm at home, and I enjoy being at home. But I was talking about, though, Chris came over and I'm like, "Well, hey, come over. We maybe have a work session or a brainstorming session, run some trains and stuff." And like I said, I had that issue with the lift gates. So he still ended up coming over and we did a lot of talking. I got a lot of ideas from him, and which has helped a lot. So, I now have a little bit better vision of how I'm going forward, not necessarily not the track plan or nothing like that, but I have some ideas to try out for operations and I guess actually how what am I going to do or how I'm going to do industries. I know there's certain industries I want to do, but I think I'm going to be changing up and not having as many, I don't want to say industries, but as many customers, and maybe take a spur or two and have it be part of another customer or that of a customer instead of having a something separate, just I guess to make it easier for operations. I think it'll be a little more fun than having a ton of different places. I don't know. In the end, I know my vision for my railroad is I want to be able to rail fan my railroad, but also I want to be able to have some, at minimum, some operations and lifelike operations, and be able to have a few people over once in a while and run operating sessions. So there's a lot of planning there as well. Moving on to another thing, I know this is something that I have done for a while, and I did it for my railroad, and I think I had said it in a few episodes ago how I made my own stickers and stuff, um, basically labels, whatnot, for my fascia on my railroad, and I guess I get into that a little more. Basically, uh, I just went on to Amazon and found sticker paper, just blank sticker paper. And at the time, I had my inkjet printer. Well, long story short, my inkjet printer basically died on me. So I had to get rid of it. And I went a couple months trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Well, then I came across the used color laser printer and jumped on it and got it. And I'm telling you, what a world of difference in not only color, more accurate color with the laser printer, but also sharper, cleaner prints. So, if that's something that you have access to, if you're going to be doing stuff for your railroad, I recommend going laser printer for your printed stuff. But, get some sticker paper. You can print up your own stickers for your railroad if you want to get into like a sticker exchange. It's not super expensive. Yeah, it's a little work with, maybe a pair of scissors or a hobby knife and a ruler, depending on what you're cutting out. But, it's a quick, easy, and decent looking way to um, come up with stickers for your railroad, whether it be labeling, like I have labeling. I'm still working on labeling my turnout toggle switches and labeling towns, or not necessarily towns, but industries and stuff like that. And the nice thing about the sticker paper I get, yeah, it's a paper kind of sticker, but yeah, if I peel one off, yeah, you get that. Oh, like anything, if you peel it off, you'll get the residue or the leftover paper. But if you can find plastic razor blades out there, and just take that and carefully, you can scratch it off and put a new one up. It's a good way to add visual interest to your railroad, especially when people come in and especially if they've never been to your railroad before. And it doesn't matter what size of railroad. You could have a 4x8 sheet or 2 foot by 4 foot sheet, N scale, whatever layout, and just put a little fascia on there, paint it, use vinyl, whatever for your fascia, get your fascia color up there, and then by adding logos to the front of your railroad, it adds a nice visual interest. I know Benjamin had sent me some pictures of his newly expanded railroad, N scale or KCS. It's N scale KCS Baxter Springs Lawton branch, but a couple of the pictures that he sent had his logo, or the KCS logo and whatnot, in there and on the fascia, and it adds to it. Now, you don't want to have something so in depth and detail that the your fascia, your stickers take away from your railroad by any means. But, it's just something to add a little extra, to tell people, okay, you are here, kind of thing, and um it makes it your own. You can personalize it however you want, whether you use Photoshop or just use a photo editor or whatever, and you can print it out, and it's cost effective. And especially because ordering stickers from a company, most of the time there's a minimum order, and maybe you don't need 500 or 50, 100 or 500 stickers. I know I did that with my Iowa Eastern Railroad stickers. I got a good deal, but I had to buy 1,000 of them. And guess what? I'm sitting on probably 750 of them now that I've changed from, I'm not using that logo anymore. So I'm sitting on that many stickers. So it's a good way to create um, visual interest, not only on your railroad, but you can make stickers to hand out to people, or I don't know, put on your coffee mug or whatever. So we're going to take a break and we will be back shortly.
N-scalers, are you ready to add some sleek, powerful diesels to your railroad? Broadway Limited Imports, proud partner of the Model Railroad Talk podcast, has something big coming your way. Introducing the Baldwin RF-16 Sharknose locomotives, set to arrive in spring 2026. These beauties are packed with incredible features, including road-specific details for ultimate realism, all new tooling for precision accuracy, authentic prototype sounds to bring your railroad to life, multiple lighting functions for added realism, premium caliber paint that makes these models stand out. Don't miss out. Place your order with your favorite dealer by July 10th to guarantee delivery by spring 2026.
If you are enjoying our podcast, we'd like to invite you to go over to patreon.com/model railroad talk and become a premium supporter over there. All sorts of details over on the Patreon page of ours. Also, if you don't want to get into something that's a monthly thing, but you would like to, hey, I'd like to throw a little support your way, you can always head over to buymeacoffee.com/ModelRailTalk, short for Model Railroad Talk. And you can donate as much or as little as you would like without any monthly reoccurring or anything like that. So if you would like to support us, head on over to patreon.com/model railroad talk, or you can head on over to buymeacoffee.com/ModelRailTalk. And to those that have supported this podcast, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. We are back from break. So I decided, let me back up here. So at the train show, I picked up a couple Lifelike Proto 2000. They're SD60s and they're in the KCS Grey Ghost scheme. And actually, I picked up a couple Bachmann Spectrum. They're Dash 8s. And I'm sure I'm going to hear about this, but the CNW, Chicago Northwestern. And I got those just because I've always kind of liked the CNW as far as like the paint scheme and stuff like that. But I know it doesn't really fit with my railroad, but hey, guess what? It's my railroad. I can run what I want. But I got them all for a good deal. And I get home and I realized, okay, I've only got 2 decoders left. And so I went to Spring Creek Models and on their website, and I ordered a whole bunch of decoders, mostly regular decoders, but I did order 2 different sound decoders. One of which we all know, we've heard of, Soundtracks. I got a Tsunami 2 decoder with speaker coming from them. But I wanted, and the one I got, I want to try it out first to see if I like how it installs, because they have the circuit boards that are replacement, but the one I got is more or less, it's a hardwire. It's got the wires coming off of it, and it's its own little decoder, where they got the heat shrink around it, and it's basically supposed to be more of a universal one. I want to try that out and see, and I'll definitely report back and let you know, and with the model number I got. But the other one, and I know I've seen it, I've seen reviews, I've seen opinions in groups about it, but Digitrax, I ended up, they had one left in stock, and it's Digitrax. I don't remember which one it is. It's the, I don't know, 16-bit or whatever. It's basically the decoder that has the speaker with it and the capacitor and stuff like that. And I know there's people that have complained about them, but I've also seen people that have enjoyed them. You know, if you're not depending on how accurate of sound you want, that's kind of the Digitrax ones. And this is what I've gathered from my research is if you're looking for precision, like let's say you're modeling your prototype modeling a specific locomotive and you're doing every detail down to the rivets or whatever, then you might want to go Soundtrax, Tsunami, and or ESU lock sound, and have that specific locomotive's file put into um, the decoder. Okay, then I could see that. But if you're just looking for a general, which I'm looking for just a general engine sound, engine rev sound, and bell and horn. That's really all I care about my railroad, because I have the volumes down so low that a lot of those extra sounds kind of get lost because they're not super loud. And I keep my volumes down just because my layout area, it's not it yeah, it's half the basement, but it's kind of enclosed on itself, if you will. And so you get too many sounds at too high a level, it just it basically the sounds drone out each other, and it's just a constant, yeah, and you don't enjoy the actual sound. So anyways, I have a Digitrax one coming in, and I have the Tsunami. It's more of a, I don't want to say generic, but non-specific decoder. Both of them have steam, preloaded steam and diesel sounds. I know the one soundtrack I got coming in, it actually has EMD sounds, which it's going to be going into one of my Proto 2000, my SD60 KCS that I got. And then the Digitrax one is actually going to go into the other one. And I want to do a comparison to find out if, is the extra money for me. I know, and this isn't cutting down Soundtracks or ESU or Digitrax. That's not what any of this is meant for. This is, I guess, to let you kind of see how I'm doing my research on it, and give you maybe hopefully something to think about if you are maybe at this stage or thinking about you might be getting to this stage. But I want to see if the extra money for me is worth, for the Soundtracks or ESU, is it worth the extra money with having the sounds down, where I could save a little bit of money on a sound decoder going Digitrax if I'm happy with the engine sound and the bell and horn sound. Because that's really, like I said, all I care about is the bell and horn for my grade crossings and stuff like that. And yeah, having the engine sound will be nice. Um, and it's a lot of times too, when you have when you're like, I'll have when I'm just rail fanning, I'm going to have several locomotives consisted together. So your lead locomotive, you're going to want those sounds for the, quality sounds for the grade crossings and stuff like that. But your trailing units, as long as you have the engine sound coming out, that's really all you need, because those aren't going to be doing bell and whistle and stuff like that. It's the lead unit. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. I'm excited to get those in. Hopefully they'll be here tomorrow. Or tomorrow, or the next, or within the next few days, we'll say. Um, I'll be excited to get that, and keep an eye on our YouTube channel for that, because once I get in the Digitrax, the Digitrax and the Tsunami, I don't know, remember which one it is, but the Tsunami 2 decoder, I'm actually going to do a video on with the locomotive. Like, now granted, the locomotives are going to be different style locomotives, but the sound quality of an ESU to a Tsunami 2, to the Tsunami 2 decoder that I got, I want to say generic, because I don't want to take away from it, but the just universal sound decoder. Let's do that way, Soundtracks and the Digitracks, and comparing to each other. And then I guess once I get them in and run them around, and I guess more or less decide which route I'm going to go, because eventually, yes, I want all my locomotives to have sound, but I don't need them all to have sound right at this time. And eventually, that's kind of one of those things where, like, with super detailing well, not only my locomotives, but even my rail cars and stuff, that's something I can do down the road. Once my railroad, okay, I've got the layout, it's operating, it's running, I'm happy with it. Other than maintenance, that's about all I really need to do. At that point, that's when I really start getting into, okay, I'm going to detail this stuff. So, um, at that point would be when, okay, I'll start selecting basically make a list of the locomotives that I want to start out, from the high priority to the ones, make a list, start here, work my way down the list by converting them to sound. And, then at least I will have an idea of, okay, I'm going to go this route for sound or this route for sound. So I guess that's what I'm doing. That's kind of where I'm at. Hopefully, by me doing this, it'll help you decide if you are looking at putting sound in, or you're looking at maybe, um, or maybe you have some sound, but you bought some locomotives that you want to put sound in, and you're not unsure. Well, do I go soundtracks? Do I go block sound? Do I use, like, say, Digitracks? Um, that's the thing you have to think about. Hopefully, me going through this will help you, and I'll report back my findings as soon as I'm comfortable with my findings, which um, it'll probably be several episodes before I do, because I want to get them in and actually run them and give them time on the railroad, and I guess, make sure they last, and see how they sound running in different whether it's switching out a local or running in consist, that kind of thing. So yeah, we're moving on now to, I guess, do you have those days, whatever, or times, I guess, we all go through it, where in your mind, you're like, I really want to, get a whole bunch done on the railroad and this and that, but your body's just telling you, uh, no, it's not gonna happen. Um, well, the last few weeks I've had that, and that's a lot of that has to do with, I was getting ready for the train show. But even so, I had times where, I would say, like, I, you know, had stuff done. I couldn't really do any more because, as an example, like 3D printing, I don't, because I have to run a heater this time of year for my 3D printers. I don't want to run the heater while I'm asleep. So I can't print overnight. So once, okay, I get to a certain point, well, I still have an hour left before, before I'm ready to go to bed, and, the girlfriend's watching her shows, and so, but then I'm like, I just kinda stand there, and I'm like, I wanna do things, but I can't, or I shouldn't say I can't, I mentally can't, I guess, just because 'cause I'm tired from the day's work or whatever. Well, this weekend, though, which is the weekend after the train show, while I had to work, this was my Saturday to work this weekend. Um, I knew that I wanted to try to get some stuff done. Prime example, uh, fix what I already discussed about the track. I had to redo some track on my lift gate and swing bridge, or swing gate. I got that done. And then from there, it was like, okay, what do I want to do? Well, then I started, and I talked about this, getting a new to me printer, laser printer. So I started printing off some buildings that I know, paper buildings, that is, that I know I wanna use, and at least temporarily, or until I figure out what I wanna put somewhere. So I printed them off, and I worked on some other railroad stuff, related stuff, for the Kansas City Southern, Iowa Eastern Division. And but then I actually just, uh, in between, so when I record these, sometimes I sit down and record each section all in one shot, and sometimes I have to stop, take a break, and kinda regroup, right? So, in between my last session of recording and right now, I have actually been very productive. Um, I got some backgrounds printed and put up on the railroad. It makes it look a lot better. I finally got the rest of my sky backdrop up, uh, in the corner I wanted, because I got the board up behind it I wanted. And if and the sky backdrop, if you're wondering, well, all you have to do is paint it. Well, I'm using bulletin board paper that is a sky backdrop that I got the idea off of YouTube somewhere, but and I've talked about it before on this podcast. However, it's easy to do, and you know what? It's one of those things where if I mess up a section, I can cut out a section and tape a section back in with I use double-sided tape to hold it up, and I can replace it. But I got that corner done, and then I took a little bit of break, ate some dinner or whatever. Well, then I'm like, "All right, I've got piece of hardboard left that's the perfect size for where I wanna go for the valance." So what did I do? I got my 2 bys out, hung them from the ceiling, or the floor joist for the first level, and got that piece in, and got some lighting in that corner, and the progress has really energized me, even though now I'm tired and, after recording this episode, I'm probably gonna go up, sit in my recliner, and just relax the rest of the night, but, it still is energizing, it feels good to get stuff done. Now the reason why I was able to get more done is because, the girlfriend's actually out of town this particular weekend visiting her daughter, the one that got me the train facts book, which we'll be reading at the end of this episode, so stick around. Um, and I'm like, well, I don't have the I don't wanna say it's not obligation, but I don't have the necessity to need to spend time with her since she's not here, so I might as well stay down in the basement, get some stuff done on the railroad, and guess what? I have been, and so far it has turned out excellent, and I am excited. Now, that means when I get home from work tomorrow, assuming I get off at my normal time, I'm gonna be able to come home. She'll be home, which is fine. I'll spend some time with her, and then Tuesday when I get off work, I generally spend an hour to an hour and a half right after work in the basement working on stuff, whether it's actually physically working on the railroad or sitting down at the computer doing computer things for the railroad or podcast stuff, what have you. But the energy that I get from actually getting things done on the railroad, it's weird how not only does it push me to wanna get more done on the railroad, and I'm excited now because with my track work done, I can actually start running trains how I wanna run them and correcting the little issues in different tracks, um it's just it's that progress forward helps, and also so does talking with other model railroaders, like, I've been, back and forth with Benjamin on his. We're gonna have him on an episode here coming up, hopefully in the next couple episodes, I'll have him on, and, just reaching out, the fellowship and all that good stuff within this hobby just really it can really energize you. However, it is known, and if you are in a slump right now, when tell you this, please believe me, we know how you feel. I've been in those slumps too, where you want to get things done, but you just either mentally or physically can't. And but don't let it get you down. There's always something you can do, even if it's a physical issue. As an example, last year I had back issues and had to have back surgery. Um, what little bit I could do for the railroad, like building cars or working on structures, I had to do it in sections, like time sections. I could only sit for half hour, or 15 minutes to a half hour, depending on the chair and what I was doing. And, so I spent a lot of time on the computer for my model railroad and for the podcast and stuff like that. So there's always something you can do to better your railroad, even if you just physically don't feel like it because you had a hard day at work or whatever, or some of us are just mentally drained. Go down even if you're like, I really don't want, I want to run trains, but I don't. Go run a train. Run it 1 lap around if you have, a continuous run ability, or even if you have a point to point. Grab a locomotive and a few cars and run it from one end to the other, whatever, just once. You would be surprised at, um, the energy you can get from that. You talk to non-model railroaders about that, and they kind of look at you like, well, they look at you like you're weird, but um, it's one of those things where they're not in the hobby, so they don't understand. Maybe invite them over and say, "Hey, come here. You can see why." Um, but anyways, moving forward, this episode's gonna be a little bit shorter, but before we get to the end, I just want to remind you, please check out Broadway Limited at Broadway Limited or Broadway-limited.com. They've got some great products over there. And I also, after our last episode with Curtis on here, I actually went and joined their conductors club, which for 29, I think it was like $30 basically for a year. And in comparison, I taken that $30 out that out of the equation, or adding that into the equation, I guess. They've got a couple locomotives that are pre-order. I pre-ordered them, but those locomotives were $100 off for a conductors club person or member. So I ordered two of them. That's $200. You take the 30 I spent, I'm still saving $170. Plus you get all these announcements. And if they have something else, you get great discounts on it. So check out their conductors club. Eh, if they're, I would suggest looking to see if they have something you might want first, but they've always got stuff coming out for that. And I believe it's a good deal if you're interested in that. So let's move on to our fact for this episode from 400 plus thrilling and unbelievable train facts for enthusiasts. This one comes from the chapter Innovations That Revolutionized Rail Transportation. Steam locomotive. The invention of the steam locomotive in the early 19th century by engineers like George Stephenson, however you pronounce that, revolutionized rail transportation, enabling faster, more efficient travel and the expansion of railway networks worldwide. So there you go. That's from 400 plus thrilling and unbelievable train facts for enthusiasts, written by Nathan Ward. A book that the girlfriend's daughter got me for Christmas, and it's an awesome book. I haven't read them, so I'm like you. When I read it to you guys, I'm reading it myself. I told myself I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to skip ahead, nothing like that. So, um, and like we said, check out Alan's N Scale World on Facebook. He's also on Instagram. He's doing some excellent stuff over there. I'm excited to get my cars back from him and get them on the railroad and get some pictures up on our Facebook page, plus on the website. And I'm going to probably do a YouTube video about it as well. Also, a reminder, our Broadway Limited gift certificate giveaway, link in the description to the form. And just want to, I guess, reiterate that we're not going to spam you and all that stuff. We're not going to sell your information. Basically, the information we ask is name, email address, phone number, and then and that's just basically so when we draw the winner, we have a couple different ways to get a hold of them, and then we ask a couple quick survey questions just so we have an idea. It helps us. Okay, which route do we go if we decide we want to market more? But I will not spam you. I get your information. I put it in a spreadsheet, and when the day comes, I'll do the drawing. And so, but the link below to win a $50 gift certificate to Broadway Limited's online store. Also check out Warbond's channel on YouTube. That's Eric over there. He's doing the 1-inch scale GP60M Santa Fe War Bonnet. And then also, if you're interested, I've said a lot about Benjamin on here with his N scale KCS Baxter Springs Lawton branch. Check him out too. It's youtube.com at Benjamin Trains. He's got some good stuff over there. And he's putting updates and whatnot on there. And plus he has his Facebook page as well, or I should say Facebook group as well. So look him up on there. But I want to thank everybody who listens to this, who emails us. It's absolutely awesome. I really appreciate the feedback and all that good stuff. Actually got an email about Z scale, so I'm in communication with that gentleman to try to get him, that listener, to get him on this episode so he can talk about the micro size Z scale stuff and talk about his experiences and stuff with that. Like always, you can reach out to us, modelrailroadtalk@gmail.com, or you can go check out our website. That it's freshly updated and changed. I still have some more information, or I still have a few more things to get done on there, but for argument's sake, it's close to being done or pretty much done. www.modelrailroadtalk.com. Go check out our YouTube channel as well and give us a subscribe over there at Model Railroad Talk. Our TikTok is the same, Model Railroad Talk follows there, or go to our Facebook page and like our page there. We always enjoy the likes and subscribes and all that good stuff. Just it helps encourage me to keep this going. So enough blabbing, and yeah, this is a little bit shorter episode, but hoping the next episode's a little bit better for you. So, like we always say, keep your train on the tracks.